Hello, everyone. My name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about A Small Place, written by Jamaica Kincaid. Now, before I go into summary analysis of this work, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and/or comment so that the channel can continue to grow. Now, A Small Place, really interesting here by Jamaica Kincaid. She's talking about Antigua, the Antiguan people, and pretty much how it was like for them to live underneath British colonial rule. And pretty much she talks about the corruption there, the tourism. She has a lot to say about the British people, how streets and buildings and different public locations are named after them, which is really horrible when you think about it, because this is the people who ruled them, who didn't treat them well. We're talking about slavery. We're talking about oppression. So you're having these streets, these buildings named after people who conquered you, and you kind of have to look at that every day. You have to live through it and understand it, and it's not the ideal environment to live through. So she talks about that. She talks about what it was like to, or what's it's like for the people of Antigua, the Antiguan people, to live in such a system and how horrible it is. And she also talks about tourism and how, for tourists, when you and when people from other countries visit Antigua, you visited for a good time. You want to have fun. You want to go to the beach. You want to enjoy the island. You want to have a good time, eat good food, and enjoy your vacation. But for the Antiguan people, it's not that wonderful. Some people are living horrible lives. The government is corrupt. She talks about the corruption. I mean, Jamaica Kincaid goes so much into the corruption that after this book was published, she was banned from Antigua for 5 years. And so she talks about the heavy corruption that goes on in Antigua, and what the government does to the people in the government, what they do to keep power, and to keep the Antiguan people underneath their rule. She talks about how there really isn't a big push from the Antiguan people to fix the system. It's just like it's just not the biggest. It's not the primary thing on the list for the Antiguan people. So she talks about tourism, how the government, the people there, the country is really focused on the profits it makes of tourism. And instead of focusing on things like libraries and the public's benefits and prosperity and future, they're more focused on tourism, and making money off of tourism. And so, she really points out the things that are struggling, or the things that are making the country struggle, the things that are, really making the people, kind of like go through horrible things and deal with horrible things. And it really ends with kind of like a look at the whole system of the government, of life, of reality that exists in Antigua, how the people are affected, and how pretty much nothing is really being done to. I don't know. We're not looking at a revolution. We're not looking at anything like that. She's really just dissecting the history of Antigua, the struggle of the Antiguan people, how they have to look at all these tourists that come in, that have a good time and then leave, and they still have to deal with their problems. The corruption in the government. We're talking about. She talks about the illegal activities that are happening in the country, and how the country is struggling, both in the past and in the present. First, it was the oppression and the behavior of the British, of the English, and now it's the government, its own government, that's pretty much taking advantage of the country, and how the people are suffering from that. So this work is very interesting. Um, the size of the island. I mean, the title of this work is A Small Place. The size of the island has a lot to do with it. I mean, its size really determines its economy, its positioning in the world. I mean, a country's location, size, and natural resources determines, what people can do in terms of economy. And so the country is really focused on tourism because, well, it's a tropical nation. It's an island. You want to make money, and so, well, you want to focus on that. While the other things are not going as well as you wanted to, but that's why you can imagine that the country would focus on that. But Kincaid really goes into the government and how the similarities between the current Antiguan government and what the British did, and and she just really looks at the system, and this is something we can say about a lot of other countries, a lot of countries who are struggling, who are in poverty, who have to rely on tourism to make money, to strengthen their economies. The government, in poor countries, the government is always there's always points of corruption, where people who work for the government, everybody from the lower ranks to the higher ranks, they try to do whatever they can to get ahead or to make money or to live off of the backs of the poor. So Kincaid really goes into this, and it sheds a light on what the dominant powers of the world, the dominant countries of the world, how the time of colonialism, how it still affects many countries like Antigua still to this day. I mean, the British Empire. I mean, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of hatred towards the British Empire for their conquering of the world. But the thing is, one thing we have to say is the British conquered everything. I mean, the sun never sets on the British Empire. I mean, the British, it's from America to India. I mean, from islands from the Caribbean, where did the British not go? I mean, they took everything. I mean, other countries in Europe, France, Spain, other countries dabbled. They dabbled in conquering things, but the British were like, the world is mine. So I guess the whole world. I mean, look at how many countries around the world speak English. English is a dominant language in the world because of the British. So yeah. But really, it's a really interesting work to look at how even the small island of Antigua was really conquered by the never-ending British Empire. But that's all I have to say about this work. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and/or comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.